Iconic musician and activist Johnny Clegg has been laid to rest in a private funeral service.
Clegg died at his Johannesburg home yesterday after battling pancreatic cancer. He was diagnosed in 2015. The Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter said goodbye to his fans in a series of international and local tours ending last year. Clegg was fondly known as the White Zulu for his command of the language and Zulu dancing, which he learnt at miners' hostels in Johannesburg.
His unique blend of African Zulu rhythms and Western pop cemented Clegg as a symbol of change in the 1970s and 1980s.
Well, and his longtime friend and musical partner Sipho Mchunu has also paid his tribute. The pair first performed together under the name Johnny and Sipho, then founded the band Juluka in 1979 in the darkest days of apartheid.
I would say my mind is offbeat, my heart is offbeat. I've lost not even friends. It's more than my brother, it's more than the friends, it's everything.
Bonded by music that crossed the color line, this is their story.
We get together when we've been very, very young, from 1969. From there, we've grown up as a young kid, walking in the street. Politics was very big. They didn't allow us to walk in the street. Everything was very tough for us. But we managed to duck away from the politics. I was from Durban. I was working in Durban for 2 years. In 1969, I come up to Johannesburg, look for a job. I found a job as a gardener in Houghton in a private house. So from there, it was a friend of mine. His name was Oshimpi Mzila. So he invited me to come up to Johannesburg. He would try to help me to find a job. So when I get to Johannesburg, he told me about the young white boys trying to learn Zulu. So I was walking in the street with my day off, so I passed to his house, which I didn't know that he's living there in Yeoville. So he was coming from the school, he just whistled for me, I just hear the whistle. Fear, 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 fear. I turned back, he pointed at me, he said, wait there. I said, me? He said, yeah. I said, okay, I'll wait. When he came to me, he speak a little bit of Fanagalo, not proper Zulu, but it was Fanagalo. So he asked me, Sawona Mfowethu. I said, yeah, well. He said, where are you coming from? I said, no, I'm coming from Durban, I'm a Zulu. He said, oh, you're a Zulu. I said, yes. So he asked my surname, and so he said, you know, I like what are you playing. Can I invite you inside to my house to introduce you to my mother? I started to confuse. I said, oh, no, what a problem. So Johnny asked me to play a little bit of the guitar, so I started playing. Play 2 songs, he said, that's very nice. And then he bought the tape recorder. And then he taped me, which I didn't know nothing about the tape recorder, nothing. And first song, he recorded, the second song he recorded, and then he played back to me. I said, whoa, hang on, you've got a Togolosh here. What is this? He said, no, the tape recorder. I said, what the tape recorder? He said, no, he's trying to explain to me how the thing works and so and so. I said, no. He said, Togolosh inside. Why my voice is there? He said, no, because I recorded. And I said, look, please let me go. He said, no, please, man, you can, if you're not in a hurry, play somewhere. I said, no, let me go. I was very close, very, very close. I just walk out. And the mother said, shame, man, he doesn't understand. We traveled, go overseas, which was very surprise to us. I can say that was a gift from Mama Jose from God. That was just a gift because actually the way we meet in the street. It just happened, we meet in the street. So actually I would say what makes us get very tight together, respect. We respect each other in a strong way and very well. Very, very well. And the good things, we were in the same age. We called him by the when he was small. His age was very big, like a rabbit. So when we tease him, we always say, "Hey, when we met there." We've done so many songs in a very good way, and I can see. I said the Friday was a bigger hit for me. All the time on the weekend when it's not going to the school, we used to go to the park in Yeovil. There's a park there. We used to go there, find the people there, they're selling that they call Mbamba Skokian. So we learned to, because they've been making money. He said, no, we need money too. So we learned how they do that thing. We started to do it ourselves. So we sell it to the people. So one day, was a man, his son Mkize from Mkomazi. So as all the time he come there to buy that thing to another people. So now he find out that we can make our own. So he come to us. So he buy it, and then he said, before I drink it, you guys have to sip it first. Johnny look at me, I look at Johnny, said, no, we have to do it because we give it to them, they're drinking also, why we don't drink? Let's do it. So we drink the stuff, we end up being dead drunk. Finished, so drunk. I don't believe what happened. I don't believe what happened to him because he told me that he's getting sick slowly, but I said, he's a strong man. He will manage to get away from that sickness. But anyway, it just happened.
So someone who encountered Johnny Clegg in his younger years was advocate Mahlodi Moafe, who has written an opinion piece on the influence Clegg had on ordinary people. And advocate, you're often in the media, you speak on behalf of the SIU governance officer there, but you're speaking in your ordinary capacity tonight. So tell me, how did you meet Johnny Clegg?
Good evening. I met Johnny Clegg when I was a research technician for Professor Keenan at Wits University. He was an anthropologist.
Were you interested in anthropology to start off with?
No. Professor Keenan needed a research technician who would go to the rural areas and do research on the effects of drought, especially in the then Bophuthatswana.
Okay.
And David Webster, who we knew each other because of our common political interest, then introduced me to Professor Keenan. That's how I then got to meet Johnny Clegg, because David Webster was, as you know, an anthropologist, and Johnny Clegg was an anthropologist lectured by the late Dr. David Webster, and subsequently he also joined the very same department. So now and then we'd bump on each other with Johnny Clegg in Dr. Webster's office there. And we interacted, often. because we were generally in that space.
Yeah.
We'd talk about matters of general interest, you know, we'd talk about my activism, you know, Soweto, you know, as you know, I was in the class of 76, and he'd also tell me about his own background. And what really fascinated me most was that, I mean, he spoke Zulu fluently. And I could see, you know, a white Zulu in him, because he spoke more about, hey, we need to go to Faraday. You know, there's an area there in Faraday where they used to dance every weekend there. And said, no, he wants to take me to JP Hostel. And that fascinated me. I declined the invite to go to JP Hostel, by and large because, you know, over and above working at WITS, you know, I was also doing, you know, my political underground work in the rural areas of Northwest. And David Webster was also of influence in that way, because he also collated a lot of material which we had. As I was doing my research there, I also had to distribute some of this material. So
give me your impression of Johnny Clegg. So you met him as an academic. Did you know then how big he would become as a musician? I think you're very humble in your tribute, and you say you don't know him well, even though you interacted with him a lot.
Yes.
But you knew him through his music.
Well, back then, you know, especially academics in the social sector, you know, social sciences, so to speak, were so casual. You wouldn't see an anthropologist in Johnny Clegg, because he would come sometimes wearing, you know, the Zulu sandals. You know, he was very casual, and I generally foresaw even that time that there's no ways in which this man would lecture for a very long time, because he was more all the time trying to pull me to go and see JP Hostel.
Yeah.
And
the music there.
And the music, you know. You know, then I left WITS, you know. I bought his music, which assisted a lot of us that time, you know, also operating in the underground structures internally and all sorts of things. Because you would listen to his music whilst you are going to do your own operations. And so I got to be very close to him, in fact, through his music, more than at the time when we were in that space at WITS. And, you know, when he passed on, it really touched me. And I realized how close I was to him. You know, when I heard about his untimely death, and I just felt that, no, I can now say I know Johnny Clegg too well, because I play his music so often. Yeah. Yes.
We'll get to the music, but very quickly, when you interacted with him, we heard from somebody who had followed him for years earlier that something special about him was he was interested in humans. He was interested in other people, their stories. Did you feel that from him, a genuine interest?
Yeah, genuinely, more than him wanting to get information for academic purposes. Johnny Clegg wanted to know more about different cultures. I mean, the Zulu culture, you know...
and you're Venda.
I am Venda, you know, and Venda is a very difficult language to even to speak or understand. I mean, he was also saying, no, it's high time that he got to know Venda. You know, one or two words I would teach, but I'll still tell him that Venda is a very difficult language to learn. But I honestly felt that Johnny Clegg felt more comfortable in the company of black people than his own. Because half the time you'd be telling me on a Monday that he spent the whole weekend, you know, in Faraday or at GP Hostel. And I just saw a human being who didn't see any color.
Yeah.
A human being who was keenly interested in seeing South Africans living together. By the way, we're talking about the era when apartheid was almost at its peak at that time, you know, and for him, how he used to sneak into GP Hostel, I do not understand. And he was family to them. You know, I think he felt more protected, you know, in GP Hostel or even in Faraday, something which I wouldn't do. You know, for reasons I explained in my opinion, that in 1976, when
there was some animosity between students and the male hostel dwellers. Basically.
Yes, you know,
which is fascinating.
And then I think the architecture of which was the apartheid government, because you know, when 1976 uprising took off, for some reason, hostel residents were pitted against us because it was like, no, we're terrorists as kids.
So I'm fascinated by that, but we're running out of time, and I was interested that you said even when you were going on operations, a whole bunch of you would listen to his music.
Yes.
So was Johnny Clegg respected by anti-apartheid activists? Was his music, his message respected?
Johnny Clegg was an active anti-apartheid white activist. So it was not really a question of him trying to endear himself, but through his music and basically how he lived his life. For anyone who ventured to live with, you know, people in the hostels, I mean, that's the lowest strata, if I may say so, that anyone can want to do. So Johnny Clegg was really different, and I was not surprised when he sang Asimbonanga uMadiba lahle likhola. Madiba asked for an encore, if you understand what encore means. You know, encore is when if you play a good song, you know, or you sing well, then you are asked, the audience will say, we want to repeat. And Madiba, when he got to the stage, asked Johnny Clegg to sing, and I'm sure now that they'll be there together already, he'll be dancing with
Madiba. We've got those clips, and that was beautiful, that moment on stage.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Great memories. Advocate Mokhladi Moafe, who knew Johnny Clegg in the early days when he was lecturing at Wits.